Hey everyone, welcome back to the Track Limits podcast presented by Formula Addict. I'm your host Swish with my co-host Henny. How you feeling, Henny?
I'm doing fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Couple coffees in you or just feeling the
It's just
adrenaline?
a great day and we're almost wrapping up this first portion of interviews.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
It is very exciting. Today we have an awesome guest with us though, a person that I stumbled into at the Stake F1 car launch.
Nice.
A person who I kept talking to because everyone around me kept telling me, you need to speak to this person.
Yeah.
They're easily one of the biggest motorsport creators. They're an individual that's also carded and a person that's probably collaborated with some of your favorite creators. Please welcome Aldas.
Woo. I mean, guys, that intro, my ego is like through the roof already. It was so kind of great to meet you at the Stake launch. We weren't kind of drunk, just running into each other, don't worry. But no, it was definitely great, and thank you for having me on the podcast. I just want to say, first of all, you guys have been smashing it. I mean, I've been loving your work so much. Some of the guests that you've had on are incredible. And also, I know a little bit behind the scenes, you got some great guests coming as well, really good friends of mine. So just thank you for having me on.
No worries. How are you doing?
I'm doing so good. It's, I'm not going to really kind of say when we're recording this because, the YouTube timeline, but it's an exciting part of the year. And listen, Formula One's, it's coming up. So I can't wait. I'm always buzzing.
Oh, yeah.
And so, Aldas, we're going to go right into it. And the first question, probably one of the most requested questions. What is it like being a Gordon Ramsay lookalike?
Do you know what, when you said the most asked question, like that, one of them is Aldas actually a real name? Honestly, it's great. So this actually came from nowhere. Like when I started doing YouTube, it was when I used to have blonde highlights, which I am bringing them back. Don't worry. And I always get Gordon Ramsay number one, and I am going to be that guy. Yeah, like that is a life bucket list like mission. Maybe even get him on the channel. I know he loves a bit of Formula One. I also get Nico Rosberg a little bit, and Nico Hülkenberg, especially with the blonde highlights in the hair. I don't have his height. But I'm getting there. So. But no, it's good. The way I see it is that it could be worse. Of course. It's better to be recognized as Gordon Ramsay. And when he pops up on the F1, when he's at Formula One and he's on the camera. I get so many people sending me videos of like, oh my God, Aldas, you're there. How can you be there? So it's good. I am actually a bit of a chef as well.
I was going to say, on a serious note though, have you used that as an excuse to get somewhere or do something?
I mean, not yet, but I've never thought of that. You see,
at a restaurant, be like, hey, I'm his son,
Do you know? Oh my God! So I was actually at a restaurant once with a friend of mine who now works for Alpine. His name is Joe. He does some of their social content, Joe Newman. And we were just having like lunch or something. And literally, so our waiter comes over and says, has anyone ever told you that you look like Gordon Ramsay? And the thing is, I and Joe only pointed out afterwards that what I should have said is, and the food better be good. I missed that opportunity, but if that happens again, I'm locked and loaded with that phrase.
That, and then also you can just be like, I'm his son.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You can get away with
Gordon
a lot.
Jr.
Like go to the Gordon Ramsay restaurant and just say that, and you'll give like the best service possible.
Yeah, just line up for pictures. It's me.
On a serious note, though, I'm curious. What are some of your priorities for 2024? What are some of the things that you're working on this year?
Well, I'm in kind of an interesting position at the moment where, and I mean, a lot of my friends are going to probably yawn at me saying this, but I'm literally I've just bought my first ever property. So the next kind of month, and I got the keys a few weeks ago. So that's kind of at the moment my goal is just to do it. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a bit of a building site at the moment, but it was a big life ambition. So that's kind of my main kind of excitement because I've never had my own setup in my own room. So once the property in my apartment is kind of furnished and everything's done because we're doing a top-down renovation, I'll be able to have my own setup. So my channel, there's going to be big changes, a lot more of my face on the channel, it's just that's kind of the main thing in terms of the background. And then now I'm going to be living by myself for the first time ever, in my own property. So it's just going to be even more content than ever. I'm going to be, now that I've got to pay a mortgage and stuff, the content's going to be even more important. So I just can't wait. It's going to be amazing. And living in London as well, a lot more collaborations with creators. Because like today, for me to get here was like 2 hours or, from door to door. So being closer to creators that, and you guys know, the F1 community is just amazing. Being closer to them, more collaborations, more exciting, hopefully opportunities as well, maybe some teams. That's kind of what I'm planning at the moment. But I'm one of those people where I don't like to think, I don't like to overplan too much. I kind of take it as it comes. So yeah, I'm sure 2024 is going to be amazing.
100%. And then you're building a full studio in your house? That
Yeah,
you can
so
record out
I
of?
was lucky enough to find an apartment with obviously a bedroom and it's called a study room.
Okay.
So it's not too big, but it's perfect for a home office.
Yeah.
And I've already got my friend Matt Amos, who's another fantastic creator. He's already come round. We've already planned a little bit where the desk is going to be, the lights, like what the
Nice.
scenery is
That's
going to be.
hilarious.
So yeah, that's kind of where my excitement is at the moment
Yep.
in terms of off track. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
That's hilarious because when we were doing the interview with him, we were geeking out over cable.
His
organization,
cable
yeah.
management is top. He is the Max Verstappen of cable management. You know what I mean? So, yeah, shout out to Matt Amos, great creator.
He is.
That's great. And then in terms of, some of the things that you're proud about thus far, I mean, to get to this point where, you can make content creation a full-time career, where you can go and buy a property. Talk to us about some of those highlights coming up to this point.
I mean, some of the highlights. It was just, so my journey kind of began. I started my channel actually in 2018, but for 2 years I only made videos because I was in college and then I was at university studying biomedical science.
Oh, wow.
And originally I was going to actually do dentistry afterwards.
Yeah.
So for about a year and a half, I was only making like a video a week, and that was just purely for fun. That was like, if I have time, completely unscripted, turn the mic on and just waffle about Formula One. And then I noticed that in 2020, whilst I was in my final year of uni and writing my dissertation, it started making a little bit of money, which was great. I mean, at the time it paid for my car insurance. I was buzzing. I thought I was a millionaire at the time. So that was brilliant. And in 2020 with COVID, I kind of graduated and graduated in biomedical science. And then my, again, original route was then to go and do dentistry, actually in Scotland and Dundee. But I just thought I might take the year off and just see how this YouTube thing is.
Yeah.
If it works out, great. If it doesn't, whatever. I'll be able to go back to what I was doing. And and I haven't stopped since. So that was the big change in my life, where I was actually a little bit lost in university in terms of what I wanted to do. Again, I was kind of in this content space, but again, in 2019, early 2020, when I had time, I was recording. It wasn't like that big anyway, and I wasn't scripting or anything. So yeah, that was the big first shift. And then, within 6 months, I started working a little bit with Veloce, just getting all of these opportunities, and I realized that this is, become a career now. And so I think my proudest moment is turning this into a business, because that's something that a lot of people perhaps they don't see that side on social media. And when they're watching the videos, turning YouTube into a business is not easy. I mean, you guys, know all about it. So the fact that it's also, my income has grown year on year, which is fantastic. And it's opened all of these amazing opportunities as well, both, within Formula One and personally in my life, I wanted to own my own property when I was 18 years old, and I've been saving up for such a long time working at Subway and IKEA before, doing YouTube. So that's, I think, what, apart from the actual video highlights, which I'm super proud of because that's my work, it's all of these amazing things that YouTube has given me, and it's given me a life, which 4 or 5 years ago, I did not see coming. So yeah, I think that's kind of the biggest highlights. I have a job and it's doing what I love and doing something that I'm passionate about, which is talking about Formula One. Yep. No clue how it happened. No clue why people want to listen to me or why they enjoy my content, but I am massively thankful that they do.
Wow. And that's amazing because talking about highlights, you did a video about Sebastian Vettel that went viral.
Yeah.
Do you think there's another driver that can go from being hated to being loved?
We'll get right back to the episode quickly, but I wanted to take a quick second to talk about our newest partner, PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 sports fantasy app. It's an incredible app with over 5 million members, including myself. And if you're someone like me that not only enjoys F1, but you also enjoy sport like American football, it's pretty great to be able to take a look at a game like Baltimore versus Kansas and be able to look at Patrick Mahomes and be able to lock him into your lineup for more than 250 yards and potentially see if you can win a little bit of money. What's also very neat about PrizePicks is they have a cool feature called FlexPay, which allows you to lock in your lineup, but then cash out if you're a little bit iffy about it, even minutes before the game kicks off. Along with that, if your lineup does hit, you can expect to get your money as quick as 15 minutes. If you're interested, download the PrizePicks app today and use the code TRACKLIMITS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's the code TRACKLIMITS on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game.
That's a great question. I think There definitely is. I think it's difficult to replicate what Seb went through because his hate, and I started watching Formula One just for context, right in the middle of his dominance. So 2012 was my first season. I remember my first race, Australian Grand Prix, Lewis on pole, Jensen won it. Jensen, got him at the start. And I remember people just hating Seb. There was booze and everything, And I suppose it was kind of a little bit like the Max Verstappen effect of he was dominating, Fernando at the time was the underdog. And then there was this shift. When he went to Ferrari, he was just so loved. And especially in 2017, when he finally got a car kind of sort of capable of challenging for the title, everyone was a Ferrari fan. And obviously, the famous quote, everyone's a Ferrari fan, even if they're not. And Seb just became this loved driver, so many fans and so much affection for him. And I was taken aback. I was like, in my childhood days, this guy was hated. This guy was booed. Monza 2017, there was a lot of, I remember there was that famous Martin Brundle line when he won his 4th title in India. You could see, basically it was a shot of Sebastian Vettel, Christian Horner, and Adrian Newey. And I think Martin Brundle said something like, the most valuable man in Formula One, and he doesn't have blonde hair. And what he meant by that was Adrian Newey. And it was just a little bit of shade towards Seb that, oh, look, you just have the best car. But, he went on to do really good things at Ferrari, didn't quite win the championship. But I just found that juxtaposition incredible. How this guy went from the most hated driver on the grid, no doubt, to the most loved driver, even when he went to Aston Martin, and even when he retired, there was such an outpouring of emotion. So yeah, that's where that video came from. But I was meaning to make that video for such a long time, and that was one of my first ones. When I first started doing YouTube in 2020 full time, it was now my career, and that's why that video did so well, because I was able to put all of my energy and all of my kind of thoughts and feelings into that video. And yeah, that's what happens when you kind of are able to follow your passion, really.
Yeah.
And when it comes to making videos, do you ever think about the outcome in terms of like how people will receive it? Like, do you stay away from certain topics because you're like, oh, I can't make a video about this. Like, that driver's fans are going to come after me.
No. I've never been like that. My channel is called Aldas, and that's my name because that's just my opinion. I talk about what I want, about the drivers I want. I'm never really that's for Twitter, to be honest. There's a lot of stuff on Twitter where like you talk too much about this driver, but that's because that driver's in my thoughts. And if I'm talking too much about driver X, then is that really a bad thing? That's just what I'm thinking at the time. So I've never been worried about kind of talking about a specific topic that perhaps people or a driver that they don't want me to. So I think you have to, in content creation. Yes, you do have to please, people because, of course, they're the ones watching the video. But you have to be happy within yourself. You have to be happy with the content you're making, true to yourself. And if you don't have happiness inside, then that's just going to radiate negative energy, and it's going to impact your content and how people receive your content. So, yeah, I've never been. Obviously, there's some topics you have to be more respectful than others, and I've kind of had those lessons of what to talk about, what not to talk about. But yeah, I've never really thought about upsetting anyone. As long as I do it in a respectful way, I don't feel like. My content, I don't kind of, bash people unless there's, I always try to, is there a reason to criticize someone? Yeah. So, for example, in some recent videos, I've been critical about Lance Stroll, but that's because I feel like his performance last year wasn't good enough. So I think there's an important balance between being true to yourself, but also make sure the content isn't, disrespectful.
Yeah. And how do you even handle the other side of it, which is the hate that you get? Is it turning off comments, or do you just be like, it's just another person behind the camera?
I'm quite good with it. I know a lot of creators really do struggle with it. A lot of my friends, struggle where they see bad comments. They're like, oh my God, that really gets me down. I'm quite good with it. Don't get me wrong. I always look at the, criticisms and stuff like that. I remember in some of my early videos, people said I talked really robotic or something like that. And I took that on, I definitely listened back and thought there were some pauses in sentences where I was like, God, that sounds so weird. Yeah. But in terms of just pure hate, that's just the internet. I've got a really thick skin, and again, Twitter's one of them where like the problem with giving people, the problem with Twitter is or X now, whatever you want to call it, is that it always magnifies the worst in people. It always, they, especially on that platform, they usually only see the negative, and that's what they really focus on. So it doesn't really get me down too much. Again, I definitely look at criticism, but if it's just pure hate, I'm pretty good at like. Yeah. Ignoring it, to be honest. And like, so I've had so many like random death threats on Twitter, which actually, to me, to be honest, I kind of laugh at it and just like put it away, because I'm just like, I've got so much going on in my life that I'm just like, who even has the time to say something like that? Like, how? Anyway, it's just clearly people that don't have jobs. So I was like, fair enough.
Fair enough. If given an unlimited budget, I'm curious, is there a video out there that you'd love to make?
Oh my God, that's such a great question. I almost want to come back to that one because there's how many videos we're talking about. Unlimited budget. I would love to do a video where me and Lewis Hamilton drive on track and do a proper race. Wow. Like in in Formula One cars. You said unlimited budget, right?
Unlimited budget.
So I'd have my favorite Formula One car, which is actually with my jacket, the Renault R25 from 2005, and then Lewis can be in another Formula One car, or Max, or some other great driver, maybe Fernando as well. Yeah. I'd love to race them because I love to kart. So my dream video would be to like drive a Formula One car with another Formula One driver, have like a little wheel-to-wheel battle, nothing too crazy. Yeah. I'm sure they'll have to slow down for me, but money no option. I mean, look at that title. I raced Lewis Hamilton in F1 cars. I'm clicking on that.
What track?
Oh, Canada. That's my favorite track of all time.
Let's go.
Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, yeah. It's a tricky track, though. Super tight. The concrete barriers, which no doubt I'd probably be scraping.
Wall of champions.
Exactly, I can't quite claim to be a champion, but I'd definitely be in that wall. But yeah, that'd be my idea. Just driving a Formula One car with a Formula One driver and having a wheel-to-wheel battle. There's just... From my karting, I absolutely love it. That's where I'm happiest in life. So yeah, driving an F1 car.
Talking about Lewis Hamilton.
Yes.
He made a shocking move.
Did he? What did he do?
I don't know.
The car launch today.
Gone red. Yeah, just a car launch. Simple.
Oh my God.
What do you think about that?
Total bombshell. And I loved it. Yeah. I just... Because the thing is, last year, I feel like over the past 2 years, after the boom of Drive to Survive 2021, so it's such a huge influx of fans, the last 2 years have been kind of back to reality. Yeah. Because the thing is, when you look at if you go to 2021 and look at the last decade, there has only been two like really, really, really all-time great seasons, and that was 2012 and 2021.
Oh, and 2016.
And 2016. But again, I'd say like 2014 and 2016 were like good seasons. Yeah. But I'm talking like
across the grid.
So I'd say like 2 seasons basically in 10 years or 3. Yeah. That's the Formula One ratio of good seasons, about 3 in 10. So it's kind of been back to normal. And perhaps there's been a bit of a, I've noticed with other content creators, I've talked about it, there has been a bit of a dip in kind of people watching Formula One and being interested in it. But this sport just surprises you. And Lewis Hamilton, I mean, he is still a superstar in Formula One. I actually said on Twitter, I've never seen a reaction. I've never seen the engagement, so many videos from creators, media outlets, articles, just this level of frenzy at a move. And Lewis at Ferrari, it's box office, isn't it? You've got the biggest driver, I think, that's ever existed in Formula One in terms of his impact both off and on the track. And you've got the biggest team in Formula One. I definitely did not see it coming because it's not... I don't think you can compare it to football or the NBA or something where, a specific player or something, would never go to that rival team. Yes, Lewis has been fighting Ferrari, but it's always been a little bit on the cards. He's, hinted it at the past. But, Mercedes do have some, I think, culpability. They maybe didn't quite give Lewis everything they wanted in terms of maybe an ambassadorial role. There's a bit of obviously kind of speculation about that. But he felt that he wanted to finish his career in red. And what does he need to prove? More wins than anyone else, more poles. He's tied for championships. He's won it at 2 different teams. He's already built up a team. A lot of people I think they have this kind of perception that he just went to Mercedes and they just started winning. And don't get me wrong, that success came quick, but he went there to build them up. There's a very good interview from Suzuka 2012 when he was still with McLaren, and he talked about doing a Schumacher. So yeah, he's already built up a team. He won with McLaren, his dream team. Go to Ferrari. Just tick that one off the bucket list. Whether it goes well or doesn't, the man's he's a made man anyway. So I can't wait. And I think everyone had the same reaction where, can we just skip 2024? Let's roll on 25. So and also him versus Leclerc. I mean, the guy, like, he isn't afraid to step into... He didn't look at Ferrari and go, Leclerc's there, I'm not thinking that. He looked at Ferrari and said, I want to be at Ferrari regardless of who's there. Yeah. And it's definitely Leclerc's team. I know a few fans kind of pushed me back on that, but Leclerc's the one that got a contract till 2029, and Sainz is the one that couldn't even get an extension. So it tells you exactly whose team that is for the future. And Lewis has just stepped straight into someone's house, took his shoes off, sat on their couch, opened a can of Monster or something, and just so that's gonna be box office. And those two as well are good friends as well. So
can't wait.
And when it comes to karting, sim racing, are you a fan? I think you kart quite a lot.
I do, yes. Yeah. I'll get on the sim. I'll get on the sim thing. Actually, I'm not a fan of sims. Okay. I've just never. I used to play some racing games when I was like 12 or 13, but as I've grown up, I've never been into sim racing for some reason. All of my friends are. They're all like, "Oh my god, get a sim rig! Look at this, force feedback."
That was him.
Yeah. So all of that flies over my head, and I do enjoy it sometimes. But yeah, I have 5 or 10 minutes of it, and I'm like, I'm done. It's not the same. This guy, he knows me. Yeah, exactly. Me and Henry, we're the same. Exactly. And to me, there's nothing like properly racing. And I will say, I am happiest in life when I'm in a car. I love racing. I'd love to be able to, obviously I don't have the budget, but when I was younger, I wanted to be a Formula One driver, obviously, like everyone. So yeah, now that I have at least a little bit more kind of extra money to, have a hobby, it's all karting. I'm happiest when I'm racing. I've been lucky enough to, I actually have a little bit of success, like relatively speaking, in rental karts.
Nice.
For a year and a half, I was the track record holder at a track called Rye House.
Okay.
I think that my lap is actually still on their YouTube channel, which is brilliant. So that was a real shock to me. So yeah, so that was quite fun. And then I've been able to do the Buckmore 24-hour last year with some creators. I'm doing it again this year with Tomo, another creator friend of mine called JB from YouTube channel Cars with JB, and two of our friends. And we take it really seriously, breaking down footage, preparing for it, getting comms and things like that. So yeah, I'm basically living out my fantasy of being a Formula One driver through karting, and it's what I love to do most. It's, again, like I said, it's when I'm happiest. And I do make some content on it, but it doesn't, my channel's more Formula One, and that's what my audience wants. So I kind of leave that for my Instagram. Instagram is really where you can see where my life is really in terms of, YouTube, my house, and karting. So yeah, racing is what I love.
That's amazing. But outside of that, do you have other hobbies that you like to do?
I do a little bit. I mean, I obviously have other hobbies, but I will say that my life revolves around Formula One racing and content, and that's actually where I'm happiest. I do have other hobbies. Like I love watching movies. I love architecture as well. I'm a bit weird like that. But my life revolves around racing, and that's just what I love. Whether it's making content, whether it's making content about Formula One or racing myself, that's just what I want to be doing 24/7. I do, I'm actually not a massive holiday person because, again, I've been saving up such a huge amount. My life has been so focused on getting that property where, so that's kind of what my life has been just revolving around. But yeah, that's my life, making content and racing.
Gotta love it.
And what about taking, a step back? And I know a lot of creators that we speak to, they always feel like an incessant need to like post, and not really take time for themselves or take like a breath and be like, I'm going to pause, I'm going to stop, I'm going to kind of do a reset. Is that a problem for you? Do you ever go through the kind of issues where you're like, I'm close to burning out and I needed to hit a hard reset? Or do you feel like you have that good balance between work and life?
I've never had what I consider burnout. I mean, I take a break at the end of the season anyway. I mean, yeah, because in general, the way YouTube works for Formula One is that, during late December after Christmas, like ad revenue goes down a little bit in early January. So that's kind of my 2-week break, I suppose. But even this year, I still uploaded at least a video a week. I'm a workaholic, to be honest. I love what I do. And again, as I said, my passions are my work. I'm so lucky to be in that position because loads of people, have their job and they think, oh God, I just can't wait to go home and, relax. Whilst for me, the emotions of finally putting out that video, seeing the response from it, does it do well, does it do badly, and then moving on to the next one, that's kind of how I get my high. So yeah, I'm a workaholic and I don't really get burnout too much. We'll see what that's like this year because I'm ramping up content a lot. I'm going to be ramping up and doing a lot more content because, again, I'll have my own kind of creative space, which is super important. But yeah, I think it all depends on how you are mentally. Some people can cope with that, and some people need a bit more support, and perhaps do need some of a little bit of a break. Yeah. And different people are completely different. So yeah, I feel like I've got a good balance in my life, and I've developed that over the past kind of 2 or 3 years of doing YouTube full time.
Wow. And do you do this solo, or do you have people that do editing for you?
It's all me. So I have I have thought about expanding, and I've had so many people come to me and say, can I do a thumbnail? Can I do a video? And at the moment, it just doesn't make sense for me financially, but it's definitely something I might look in the future. But again, something I talked about with Tomo, editing the video myself, there's some kind of pride in it. From start to finish, the product is mine. So perhaps it's a bit of selfishness, but, if it makes sense financially in the future, I might do it. It's a bit, if you're a business owner, handing over your baby to someone else, it's exactly, if it comes from you, it's, you kind of want to manage everything, be a bit of a, be kind of aggressive, like I want to do everything. So that's going to be tricky for me, but yeah, we'll see if it makes, again, if the numbers add up and it makes sense financially, then I definitely would be doing that in the future.
Brilliant. Final question before the rapid fire round. You've been a long time Formula One fan, and I'm curious, take a bird's eye view, look at the next few years of Formula One. What do you hope Liberty Media and Formula One do to make the sport better, if you had to pick one area that they need to improve on?
I can't answer that question because there's no way I can pick just one. There's going to be a lot. No, I think...
All right, the countdown starts. 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. The way I would kind of summarize that to just one is just streamlining the sport just a little bit. It's become just a little bit bloated, too many races, just a little bit too... this sport is making an unbelievable amount of money, and that's credit to Liberty Media of what they did, going from the Bernie era. But they're just getting a little bit lost in the sauce at the moment. More and more races every single year. A record calendar, 24, I think, this year or something like that. The tracks also are just becoming a little bit bland, a little bit street track, a little bit, this country and this town are paying us an unbelievable amount of money. Let's just stick a racetrack in the industrial unit or something. So just streamline the calendar a little bit more. And even like with Vegas, I think that was a lot of people were proven wrong. That race was a big success. But again, just streamlining that race a little bit, making sure, the whole Carlos Sainz thing was not a good look for them. The whole drain cover, I think it was actually the outside of the drain cover. And even the podium ceremony, driving them to the Bellagio and then back to the podium. So just streamlining it a little bit. I'm one of those, I'm a newer Formula One fan, even though I've been watching for, 10 years. I like the show. Yeah. I like that we go to a traditional race like Spa and it's raining and, there's people camping, in Silverstone. And then we go to Vegas and there's light and everything. And, the race was very, very good.
Yeah.
100%. I think that's what's most important at the end of the day is that the product on track is going to answer all of the questions. Yeah. But just streamlining it a little bit because sometimes it is just getting a little bit too much. When you have Max Verstappen, the world champion, complaining about the size of the calendar, that's not a good look. Max is talking about leaving and, whatever you think about Max, he's the driver at the moment. You can't have your star driver talking about, leaving Formula One because he doesn't like it. So, yeah, and also the cars as well. I think, obviously, there's got to be that road relevance because that's where the money comes from, really. And that's the kind of the IP for Formula One, or the unique selling point, I should say, for Formula One is that road relevance and commercial relevance. But yeah, the cars are, again, also getting a bit too bloated, a bit too heavy, a little bit too difficult to kind of race with. So yeah, if they focus on kind of like streamlining it a little bit, that would be my number one thing. But overall, I think Formula One is in a healthy place.
Yeah.
But we can't ignore the fact that there isn't that competitive edge on track. And ultimately, if the product is not good, it's very, very difficult. But it's the job of the other teams to catch up. So, the reason why Formula One is perhaps boring at the moment is down to Ferrari and Mercedes. They didn't do a good enough job, and they've got to up their game. They've got the tools, they've got the people, they've absolutely got the drivers. I'm waiting to see Leclerc, Russell, Norris in championship level cars. And so, I think that's where we need to go.
Amazing. Liberty Media, you got to hire Aldas as a consultant. I fully agree.
Hit me up.
Fully agree. Great thoughts here. I am curious, Henny, do you think that Aldas is ready for the rapid fire round?
I think so.
Yeah?
He came in strong.
He did come in pretty strong. Are you nervous, Aldas?
No.
No.
Made for it.
I can feel the positive energy and the good vibes. So.
Let's change that now. Let's make it very
serious. Here we go.
All right. Well, we'll be back with a rapid fire round soon.
We're serious.
Short little interruption from the episode. We'll get right back to it. But I wanted to introduce you to our partner, Factor. If you're an entrepreneur, or let's just even say you're really busy like me from time to time, likely aren't prioritizing your health always, and you're likely not prioritizing healthy meals. Thankfully, with Factor, I'm getting these meals. I'm getting chicken, I'm getting salmon, I'm getting my greens. I'm getting food that is never frozen, that is dietitian approved, and that I can make ready within 2 minutes. That's the beauty of Factor. I've loved their dishes so far. Love the fact that it's so accessible as well in terms of them delivering the food directly to my doorstep. It's incredible and a very affordable option as well for anyone that's looking to take their health to another level without having to compromise that much on other things they're doing. Head to factormeals.com/tracklimits50 and use code tracklimits50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code tracklimits50 at factormeals.com/tracklimits50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Welcome back to the Track Limits podcast. I've spilled coffee on myself during the break. I was quite nervous, candidly, going into the rapid fire round.
If you're nervous, I'm not me.
That's my tactic. I can make my guests nervous by being nervous. Ready to go, Henny?
Let's do it.
All right. Aldous, first question. Which platform, social media platform, out of the bigger ones, would you delete right away if you had to?
Oh, TikTok.
Wow.
That a few times now.
Yeah. Why?
No reason, because I was like, I want YouTube, I want Twitter, I want Instagram. What's the one I delete? TikTok.
Facebook?
Oh, is that even a platform anymore? That was shut down by now.
Yeah, fair enough. Actually, that's fair.
That was a question for 2010.
Next question. Racing memorabilia you would like to own or currently own?
I mean, something I'd love to own is a Formula One helmet, because I'd wear it. Forget putting it on a shelf. I would wear that when I kart. One of my favorite helmet designs was Hamilton's 2020 because I love the color purple. And when I paint my lid, it's gonna be purple. So yeah, I'd love to have his 2020 helmet and wear that on track. Like that's a flex.
That would be dope.
If you had to choose another sport to create content in, what would that be?
NBA.
Oh, you're a
I'm
basketball
a big
fan.
NBA fan, yeah.
What's your team? Yeah.
So I don't have a team, but I have players that I like. So I like Giannis, I like Luka. I suppose, okay, a Bucks fan technically because Giannis is there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have a specific team because maybe I wasn't born in the US. So I don't have that kind of attachment to the teams. But yeah, a big NBA fan. And I almost thought about it a year ago. I was like, should I start a second channel talking about the NBA? But yeah, maybe stay tuned.
That will consume you, I promise.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Next question. Most unpopular opinion you have?
What was that? I mean,
We promise we're not trying to cancel.
no, it's all right. I was one of those people that actually was very critical of Sebastian Vettel, and I always thought that Fernando Alonso, even before Fernando came back in 2021, I always thought that Fernando Alonso was a better driver than Sebastian Vettel. Like even during their championship winning years, and at the time that was quite a spicy take.
Yeah.
But I think now Fernando has built his legacy even more. So it's not a spicy take now, but I remember like when I said that in 2018, people were having a go at me.
Yeah.
But it's just it's just your preference. I think Fernando's a better driver than Seb. So yeah.
Great.
That's a good one.
Boldest prediction for the upcoming 2024 season.
Oh, boldest prediction. No, the thing is, I know I've got to go with exactly what Hayden said because I know he told me, and that's I think there's a very good chance that while Sergio Perez might start the season in the Red Bull, he might not finish it because Red Bull are just one of those teams where, especially now, they're looking for that future driver or looking to someone to partner with Max, and I could just see Helmut Marko if Perez struggles to just middle of the season going, Ricardo, you're in.
Yeah.
So I think Sergio Perez might not make it till the end of the season.
Wow. Okay. So outside of work, including karting, what's your favorite addiction?
My favorite addiction. Oh my god, that sounds so like sinister. Drug addiction or something.
You let us know.
Oh my god. I honestly like that. My honest question, I don't have like an addiction. Like properties is my like a little guilty pleasures. I spend so much time looking at properties and things like that because that's what I want to get to in the future. So yeah, my addiction is real estate. Wow, that's gonna get people talking.
Most embarrassing moment you've had creating content.
Oh, to be honest, I've not had like many embarrassing moments creating content. I've had an embarrassing fan interaction.
Cool, yeah.
Tell us.
So it was your classic run of the mill, running into a fan in the toilet.
Oh no.
That was brilliant. Honestly, it was so funny. Luckily, I was on the way out and he was on the way in. But he just stopped and I think we just walked by each other and I just heard, "Are you Aldas?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I just went so red. Like I'm just finishing like I'm heading out of the toilet and he's like, I know this is really awkward, but I'm such a big fan of your content. And I just froze. I was as red as a tomato. I was like, "Thank you."
That should be like me too.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my running into a fan in the toilet. But listen,
That's
if you ever see me, say hi. It's all good. It's all
now
good.
he's like, I've had media training, so I'm good.
Yeah.
Now I know what it's. Now I know what it feels like. So I'll be even better the next time.
My guy's like washing his hands in the toilet, like, taking a photo.
Yeah. Oh god. At least he didn't like talk to me in the cubicle next to me. If he was there, that would have been the worst.
Next question: if you could have one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Curry. My favorite cuisine is Indian cuisine, and I love a curry. Curry means sauce, so I have loads of avenues that I can go into.
Yep.
Different types of curry. So yeah, that would be the number
That's a
one.
good one.
We got to go for Indian food. I love Indian
for
food.
sure.
What's your favorite guilty pleasure TV show?
Ooh.
Guilty pleasure TV show. I'm not guilty about anything I watch. I mean, let's be honest.
Maybe guilty for other people.
Yeah.
Guilty for other people. What kind of reality TV do I? Honestly, the thing is, I need to come back to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I need to come back to that.
Yeah.
All right.
There's a couple.
Next question: if you're trapped in an elevator with a current F1 driver, who would it be and why?
Who would it be? Oh, I mean, thing is, I'd probably go with Nico Hülkenberg because he's tall enough to get on top of the elevator and get the thing working.
Shaft, yeah.
So I'm thinking ahead on that one.
Yep. And you guys can look at each other like Spider-Man. Like.
And also, I got the TV.
Oh,
so
nice.
there's an amazing show from back in the day called Ugly Betty, which is about fashion.
Yeah.
And I'm really into fashion and about magazines. So that's my maybe guilty pleasure, but I love that show. So
Nice.
Cool.
great show.
You're writing an autobiography on your life. Which of
Wow.
these titles best resonates with you?
question.
The Daredevil, the Free Spirit, the Hardest Worker, or the Dream Catcher?
I'm going to go the hardest worker. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Well, that is a wrap. That
It
was
is.
a great rapid fire round.
I think he crushed it.
I think he
We
crushed
stumped
it.
him on that guilty pleasure.
We
Yeah,
did.
you
We
did.
did.
Yeah,
Honestly,
we
it would have
got
been
it,
perfect if you
Yeah.
hadn't got
Yeah.
stumped there. But
That was
Ugly Betty, you said, was the
Ugly
show?
Betty, yeah.
Ugly
I love that show.
Nice.
Final question we ask every guest before we sign off here. What sort of legacy do you want to leave behind? You're still quite young. I know you still have so many more years ahead of you, but I think everyone constantly, especially if you're ambitious, you think a little bit about what you want to leave behind, what sort of impression you want to leave on the world. What sort of, legacy do you want to leave behind?
I mean, you said that I'm young. I mean, I'm in my early 20s, but life is not guaranteed. You never know. I mean, I've had friends passed away quite young, so life is never guaranteed. And I feel like, in terms of legacy, ultimately that's, for other people to decide. You want to leave something that, that you're proud of. But to me, it's just an honest Formula One fan that, chased his passion, did what he loved, and just enjoyed life. And, hopefully kind of brought a little bit of happiness into other people's lives with the content that he made. And, I've had really nice messages about people watching, my content with their family or with their friends, and actually, friends together. So, and those kind of messages just like, they melt my heart. So, just bringing a little bit of happiness with the content that I make. And that's kind of, that's what my legacy to be.
Brilliant. That's a wrap. Aldas, thank you again for coming on. We're going to link all of his socials below. Go and check his page out, especially if you're a new Formula One fan. You should definitely check out his videos on YouTube. They're incredibly informative, very, very interesting. If you liked this episode, like, share, subscribe, maybe pick up some merch,
Let's see that. Yeah, put that on show. There you go. It's lights out and away we go.
There you go. Sunday.
That's what I'm saying. So check it out, but really, really appreciate the support. Thanks again, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.